are you? Welcome. I'm Father Jerome, and welcome to WSRP in Granite Square. We're here to talk about the reopening of church. We're going to be able to return to public worship, and that's coming this Sunday. That will be Trinity Sunday, and it's a beautiful occasion for us to come together as a parish community. But I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about some of the work that's involved in that, and it might have a role for you. I know that our parish secretary and director of liturgy, Carrie Stanley, is looking for some volunteers, because if you take a look with me, walk with me a little bit, you can see we're here in St. Raphael, and St. Raphael is a modest-sized parish these days. There was a time when we were somewhat bigger, but we have a very large church. It's not the largest in the diocese, but it is one of the larger ones in town, and we can accommodate, if we were kind of packed, in the old days, 750, 800 people here. So according to New Hampshire state guidelines, we will be allowed to reopen for 40% of our capacity. That, for most of our masses, most of the time, will be pretty much where we are anyway. Nonetheless, because the state is advising us, and the diocese has reiterated those recommendations, it is necessary to clean the seats, and to clean the seats after every usage. So each Mass, following each Mass, there needs to be a cleansing. Now if you look, you can see that if somebody is sitting, let's say, in this seat will be empty. This seat might be full, this seat will be empty. So we're planning at the moment every other seat, and I think that will give us the requisite distance that we need. Reason we want the distance between people is because when we speak, when we sing, when we just come in, it's very possible that droplets from the mouth or COVID on people's clothing can be shaken off and you can become infected. As you know, I hope nobody deliberately infects someone, although there have been some cases, I guess, where people have done that in a kind of a criminal way, actually, and they get prosecuted for it. But most of us don't know we have COVID until we begin to exhibit the symptoms. And so at that point, one could already have infected a number of people. So each of these seats needs to be cleansed, the ones that we're going to be used, and they will be marked, and you will be told which are the ones that are able. I don't know, we'll have a tag or something on the seats to sit in. When you come in, people will be able to sit as a household, a family can sit together, of course, but otherwise we ask that people kind of spread out, so we maintain the 6 feet difference that the CDC has recommended between people, and I think that will be helpful. Another thing that will make some people quite happy is we won't be singing right away. We'll have the organist, we will have a cantor, but she or he will be the primary singer, and there will be no invitation for people to join in that. Again, because it has been recommended that we not sing, at least initially, so that any kind of disparate sending of droplets from the mouth will be prevented. And so we're going to do those kinds of things. We have, as you notice, when I think we started filming, I was washing my hands. We have 2 sanitizing stations as you come into the church on either side of the main aisle on the pillars. There's also the bathroom on the main floor. There's also a men's and women's bathroom down below, so that if you like to wash your hands in a more traditional fashion, more robustly, you're very welcome to do that. What else can we tell you? You can see here along the aisle that there will be marks to indicate spacing, again 6 feet difference, so that as people come up in a single file, you will receive communion either from me or from one of the monks at the Abbey, and from possibly a Eucharistic minister, but likely only the 2 of us doing it. The cup, I'm sorry to say, will not be available yet. We still have a long way to go before we're able to present the chalice to people. I think that should be fairly clear. The reason we're having a single file is, again, to prevent contamination. As people walk down the center aisle, they'll maintain some difference of space, distance of space between their neighbors as they come forward. What else can we say? When you come up to the priest to receive communion, you will be asked to wear your mask, then you take a step off to the side, remove the mask, consume the host yourself, and then carry on and return by way of the side aisles to your seats. So I think that should be pretty straightforward. We're hoping it's going to work. Obviously, with anything new and quite different from the way we have been doing things, we have to kind of check and see if there are any bugs, and we'll get those out of the system as soon as we can. And we certainly appreciate the cooperation of all of our people. We will be sending you before the end of the week a list of procedures to follow at St. Raphael. These are based on the state recommendations, the CDC recommendations, and materials that have been sent to us by the Diocese of Manchester. So we're trying to do the best we can. One thing I would ask from you is that if and when you get a call from the office, if we're looking for some help in some of the cleansing or some of the other tasks, please be open to do that. As you can imagine, we have 4 masses. The more masses we have, the more we can spread out people, but the more times we use the church, the more we need to have those seats cleansed. So I think that'll do it. I hope that this gives you some insight into what is necessary, and we're looking forward, really looking forward, to seeing you and your loved ones come to Mass. And not just for church envelopes. Let me tell you another thing before I go. Church envelopes. There will either be a central station for you to drop your envelopes, or when the ushers go by, they will be masked and they will have gloves on so they can minimize any problem of contact with unclean money. And last item, please remember to bring your mask to Mass, because they're recommending that as well. The priest and the readers obviously won't be wearing them until, let's say, communion time, but the congregation is very much asked to do that. We need to take care of each other, and that's an important process. It's an act of Catholic life, an aspect of Christian charity. O Lord of my heart, not be all else to me, save that thou art. Pretty good, hey? I bet you wish you could sing like that. A lot of people wish they didn't sing like that. A lot of people wish I didn't sing like that. Anyway, just want to make another thing clear to you. When you come into church on Saturday or Sunday, you won't find the hymnals. We love the hymnals. We'll go back to the hymnals, but they're another thing that has been kind of recommended that we not have available. Again, the same reason as with the seats. If I happen to have COVID-19 and I'm contaminated and I'm using this book, I contaminate the book, I leave it, you come in, you pick it up, you flip through it, you sing from it, if we were singing, whatever, you use it for the readings or whatever, you can become contaminated. So we're trying to minimize that kind of surface area potential contamination. So take a good look. It'll be back, but not for a little bit. So there it is. You have it. I thank you for paying attention. We'll talk to you soon. Many of you join us on Sundays for the Mass from St. Raphael Chapel, the Father Herbert Smith Chapel of St. Benedict and St. Joseph, or St. Joseph and St. Benedict. Anyway, I wanted to point out to you that a couple of weeks ago we had a special treat. We had a song by Father Jan Michael Jonkus, a priest of the Diocese of the Archdiocese of St. Paul in Minneapolis, which was made available to us free of charge by his publishers. The GIA program, it's the Gregorian Institute of America, made that available to parishes throughout the country. And it's a plea to God for his protection during this time of the COVIDium, as so many people wrestle with the consequences of the novel coronavirus and the disease that it breeds, COVID-19. The song that Father Jonkus wrote, Shelter Me, is grounded in Psalm 23, the famous "The Lord is my shepherd," and we have an opportunity for you to hear that particular hymn played on the organ by our organist and director of choir, Lyle Hamill, and sung for us by one of our cantors, Carice Mayo. And so without further ado, I turn that over to you, and listen and enjoy. As you know, every parish has guardian angels. These are guardian angels who look over us and look over each of us. But sometimes they appear in the flesh, and we are lucky in the last few weeks to have some excellent angels who have come our way to spruce up the exterior of the parish grounds. They've done a beautiful job, as you will see when you return for Mass either Saturday or Sunday of this coming week. This week we're in. This coming Sunday, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying. So anyway, my thanks especially to Jeff Stanley and some of his buddies from Londonderry High. They're all soccer players. They all are much more energetic than I am, and they did a great job in getting some mulch spread and some raking done, and we appreciate that very much. We also have a couple of guardian angels who did a phenomenal job on mulching and groundskeeping and so forth, and they don't want their names to be used, but you do see them around, and they have been wonderful helps. Likewise, we want to say thanks to our garden keeper, Norm Courchain, who does a wonderful job in Our Lady's Bower and keeps that beautiful. One other too, you see Barbara Miles around. Barbara Miles does a beautiful job on the planters in front of the church, and so we thank all of them, the named and the unnamed. So God bless you all and keep up the good work. We appreciate it very much. If you grew up in the 1950s, 1960s, as did I, or if you are an older person and were a parent or were driving at that stage, I bet 9 dimes to the dollar that somewhere on your dashboard you would have had, on your Studebaker or your Chevy or your Ford Fairlane or whatever you had a statue. And that statue is a very interesting story. This is our little unit in the show, WSRP, in Granite Square, and we take a look at things that we have in our little mini museum, our archives. And some of you might ask, and quite reasonably, why on earth do you have a broken plastic statue in the museum? Well, because popular culture includes religion in some sense, and what I'm going to show you in a minute is a very well-known religious artifact that was pervasive in the United States, particularly in this part of the United States, although it's brought to us by the Sacred Heart Auto League. And so clearly it's going to be a statue of the Sacred Heart. So you can see this image of Jesus, and you see it is our Blessed Lord gesturing to his Sacred Heart and his hand raised in blessing. His hand was raised in blessing until, I don't know, the cat or somebody got hold of it and we're missing the hand. But anyway, you got to work with what you got, right? So there it is, and it's got a little magnet on it, and because cars are made of metal, or used to be, now they're made of plastic or who knows what they're made of, but you used to be able to put that on your thing and it would cling to it and it would stay there. But I have to tell you that this image of the Sacred Heart for many of us has been a great reminder that God is watching out for us and that the love of Christ is pervasive. So what can I tell you? The Sacred Heart Auto League is a ministry of the Fathers of the Sacred Heart. They're a Catholic order that serves primarily in the South. They work among the poor, particularly in African American communities that have been never really been given a great chance in making advances, and they have provided education, healthcare, as well as pastoral service, and they have provided not handouts, but hands up to many of our brothers and sisters in Mississippi, Alabama, and other areas of the South. They are based in Walls, Mississippi, and there are literally tens of thousands of members to this day who are people who belong to the Sacred Heart Auto League. It was one of their great ministries and continues to be a great ministry. And what does it tell us? It tells us that when we drive, we need to be in the presence of God. We're operating a very serious and very expensive and very dangerous, if we're not careful, piece of equipment. We can harm ourselves or we can harm others. And we should try to drive with Jesus. They use the phrase reparational driving. We drive with good sense, with proper speed, careful and attentive to our surroundings, and with great respect for the drivers around us. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could find that up here in New England all the time? But unfortunately, a lot of crazy people out on those highways. If we can keep our heads and keep our calm, we'll do very well. I encourage you to look into the Sacred Heart Auto League, to check them out and to sign up with them. When we drive, it's a wonderful time to use for prayer and reflection, and to use that little sacrifice of time for all those who are careless and don't think of the value of the lives around them. So we thank you for that. And again, Jesus is giving you his blessing, even if he can't do it with his hand. See you. By the way, the Sacred Heart Auto League was founded 65 years ago by Father Gregory Bessy, B-E-Z-Y, of the Sacred Heart Fathers, and his confreres continue the good work that he started. So check them out, the Sacred Heart Auto League, based in Walls, Mississippi. You can find them easily on the web. What? Oh, you want, okay. Hey, thanks so much. Thanks for joining us for this, the 4th edition of WSRP in Granite Square. Thanks so much. We'll see you again.
Father Jerome, I'm sure I speak not only for myself, but everybody here at St. Raphael, as well as your confreres up at the Abbey, in wishing you a very happy 25th Jubilee, and we wish you much love and abundant blessings in the years ahead.
Hi, Father Jerome. We just want to wish you a very happy 25th anniversary or Jubilee of your ordination, and we're very happy and blessed to have you here. We hope you have many, many, many more years.
Congratulations, Father Jerome. It was good. We had a great time. Thank you very much. Bye.
Father Jerome, happy anniversary, 25th of your ordination. And as I said to people, I thank the good Lord that you are at St. Raphael's, and may he bless you forever.
Happy anniversary, Father Jerome. Happy 25 years and 25 more. Thank you for the good service you did to St. Raphael's.
That's too much.